shoulders. It must have been an absolute triumph of organisation to organise the whole country into action, to prepare for war, airfields, battleships, vehicles, armaments, and all the necessary evil things you have to have for war. But one of the first things that they did, and I believe it might even have been before war was declared, was the issue of gas masks to all the population. The whole country was terrified that the enemy would use poisonous gas as they had in the First World War. For the ordinary population, they were quite simple things really. I expect they just had a simple carbon filter at the bottom, and there was a thin black rubber mask which was held tightly onto your face with elastic straps that went over the top of your head and round the back of your head, and we all carried those around in well, just plain brown cardboard boxes that they issued with a bit of string over the top, and you hung them over your shoulder. The forces, I believe, had more sophisticated gas masks, but they were the ones we had, and I'll pop a little picture up for you to give you an idea of what they looked like. Another thing that possibly I should tell you is the means of communication. It was only by newspaper, placards and radio, and our Prime Minister at the time, Winston Churchill, was a great orator, and it was he who made the wonderful speeches to get us all into action and cooperation. And the radios, well, I can only talk about the one we had, but it was a pretty simple affair. They had things called valves in them those days, which had pins on the bottom that pressed into a board where they would make all the connections to the condensers and resistors that were underneath. Not at all like the things you'll now see with the transistors and tiny things on the motherboard of your computer or a lot of other devices, and they were, in the most case, and certainly in our case, battery operated. Again, they weren't dry batteries or tiny little things as you have now. They were Leclanché cells, acid lead batteries, same as fairly old-fashioned car batteries, I suppose, and they were about 6 inches by 3 inches square, I suppose, and they had to be charged up, which you couldn't do at home. And I remember it was my job to take them down to a local cycle and electrical shop fairly nearby and get them charged up. They were fairly dear at the time, actually, to get charged up, so you didn't use your radio very much, and well, it wasn't very easy to use it. The knobs on the front turned, one for the volume and the other turned a variable condenser inside, which would select the signal, and how strong the signal was, as in all cases, depends of course how far it was from the transmitter, and we must have been quite a long way away, because it was quite a work of art to get the station. You turned the knob until the high whistling sound sort of clicked in on the frequency that you were looking for. So we didn't use it very much, and we always listened to the news once a day, and then we were allowed a treat on a Saturday night to listen to well, other things. There was pretty boring music on, like they were sort of generally dance band music, like people like Geraldo and Henry Hall and things, and I was well into the blues by that time, so that bored me to tears. But my dad used to like a comedy program. It was called It Ma, It's That Man Again, and there was an artist called Tommy Hanley, and I couldn't even raise a smile, but he thought it was great. So that's fair enough. So we didn't use the radio very much, and as I have already said, it was really the only means of communication and propaganda that could be sort of fed to us. So it was a very important bit of equipment. Telephones, of course, were in boxes, telephone boxes in various places in the streets and towns, but only the rich had telephones, and we certainly weren't in that category. So the transference of information between people was very, very restricted. I'll pop you up a picture of the sort of radio it was. Yes, okay. Well, I seem to have gone on a bit, and what I really thought, what shall I tell them today? I really wanted to tell you about the air raid shelters, so I'll get on with that now, and I apologise for the noise that you're going to be hearing. It's picking up the sound of some UPS battery backup system and the fans from the computer, but I can't do much about that at the moment. Right, so after the issue of the gas masks, it was the air raid shelters that I remember next. And to those people who had gardens where they could construct them, they issued air raid shelters which were called Anderson shelters, and I will pop some pictures up of those at the end. But basically they came in sections, and there was an iron frame that you constructed the sections around. For ordinary households, I think they gave you 6 of them, 2 foot wide, and you therefore finished up with an air raid shelter of 6 feet and about 4 feet wide. So you dug yourself a dirty great hole to those dimensions, about 2.5 to 3 feet deep, hoping you didn't come across a water table and you've got a pond at the bottom, but fortunately we didn't. And I don't really remember much about digging that hole. I think I probably sneaked off when poor old Dad was doing that. Anyway, we did dig our big hole, and I do remember tightening up the bolts on some of the sections. So we put the air raid shelter together, put it in the hole, and then you covered it up with earth. And they were, in fact, I believe, designed extremely efficiently, and they would it would have to be a pretty big bomb that would fall pretty near to you to kill you, so you did feel quite safe in them. But obviously they were dark, they were damp, they were cold. You entered them by a hole about at the front, about oh, I don't know, 2'6" square, I suppose, which took a bit of getting used to getting in, and you went in backwards if you'd got any sense, if you didn't want to either break your back or knock your head off. And the earth, then the earth you dug out of the hole you put on the top, and even that bit of earth would be used to grow some sort of vegetables, so that nothing was wasted at all. And some stories that I'll tell you later on do revolve around the air raid shelter. And no, it's nothing to do with Althea. I've told you about that. We went into them to protect ourselves from the enemy. So I'll just kill this, and I'll put you some pictures up so you know what I'm talking about. Well, I'll leave it there for today, and hopefully next time I'll tell you some stories that will have a little more action in them. And I can't finish without a bit of music, can I? So I will just leave you looking at a blank screen and pop a little bit of music on, and see you again very soon. And until then, goodbye.
when you are old and tired and gray, and wear your overcoat on sunny days, when your brave tales have all been told. I'll ask for them when you are old. When you are old and full of sleep, and death no longer makes you weep, when your body